Hello everyone, my name is Palash Bhattacharya and today I am going to share my opinion on how to face a job interview. Rather, what ought to be the approach of a candidate going for an interview. First thing, one must understand that interview is not something random. Especially if you are appearing for a job interview, it is not something random or randomly done. It is a very structured thing and it is a part of a process. Now it's a part of a broader process called recruitment process. Now in recruitment process there are different levels, there are different steps. The first step generally is online test or a written test. In written test you have verbal ability, non-verbal ability, logical reasoning, domain test, etc. The second part consists of a psychometric test or it may be a coding skill test. The third part may be group discussion or directly interview. Now, what I have seen and experienced that in group discussion and interview, the attrition rate is very high. And the reason which I realize or which I understand, the reason is not proficiency in language. It's not about how competent you are in English especially, but it is about lack of communication skills. Now when I say communication skills, I mean to say that students or a candidate is not very proficient or fluent in expressing his or her own idea. And there is one more thing, that students or a candidate appearing for a group discussion or a interview is so nervous, is in such an agitated state that he or she is not able to listen to the question properly, and that is why he fails to give a proper answer. So let me deconstruct this process of interview and go step by step so that you understand what is an interview process. In an interview process, what I have learned as a teacher, as a trainer for the last 15 years, that students, they believe that in an interview their intelligence is going to be tested. But I say it's not about your intelligence in the interview. Your intelligence being already tested in the written test consists of verbal, non-verbal, reasoning, coding ability, subject ability, already being tested. In an interview, what is tested is your personality. Now when I say personality, a lot of people might think differently because personality is a very broad term. Now what I mean by personality is first instinct. How do you react? Number one. Number two, how confident you are. Number three, whether you have the capability or the ability to pick, process and deliver the idea that is given to you. So let's say, for example, an interview asks you a question which can be termed as out of syllabus question. For example, let me give you an example. In an interview, an interviewer asked an interviewee, if I call your father right now and ask him about you, what would your father say about you? Now this question is a very unexpected type of a question. But here the question is, why is the interviewer asking this type of a question? What is the purpose? Is the interviewer asking this question just because he wants to play with you or he wants to have fun? No, he wants to assess you. And in assessing, he wants to assess whether you have the power to pick the idea, process the idea in a particular fashion and deliver it in the best possible manner, maybe the desired manner. Now, most of us, when we go to an interview, we have no idea about the background or the whereabouts of an interviewer. We don't know who the interviewer is, what is his background, from where he belongs to. We have no idea. So in this case, we have to be very general and we have to be very particular about the answers. So let me start by the first question which is asked in an interview. The first question generally asked in an interview is, tell me something about yourself. One of my teachers always used to say that, well, begin is half done. And he also told me that in the first 2 minutes of the interview, the interviewer will assess, will decide whether to take it, whether to take you, whether to select you, or whether not to select you. So the first question generally 99% of the time is, take me through your CV, or more popularly, tell me something about yourself. Now this is it sounds very simple, but this is not a very simple question, because a lot of people do not have an idea of what to say in this, what could be the answer or what should be the answer of this question. Now let me give you one by one tips on how you can prepare an answer for tell me something about yourself. Now as I said, interview is a process, and in that process everything is very structured. Now when everything is structured on the part of the interviewer, because he is into a process and you are also into a process, so you should also make your answer very structured. Now by structured answer I mean that your answer should be very step-by-step answer type. That you say this thing, then you end, then you say this thing, then you end, and then you say this thing, and then you end. And then you wait for the interviewer to ask another question. Generally what happens is, in tell me something about yourself question, candidates, they take up random things. They take their percentage, they take their hobbies, they take their strengths, they take their weaknesses, they take what kind of a person they are, they describe about their nature, they describe about their background, so on and so forth. And here they make it a very random looking answer, random sounding answer. And when you are random in giving an answer in a structured communication, then you lose points. So I always tell my students that if you want to make a perfect answer, you have to be very structured for tell me something about yourself. So let me give you an example. Say you go to an interview and the interviewer asks you, tell me something about yourself. How to begin with that? Let me remind you that on YouTube, on various media platforms, web platforms, there are a lot of videos regarding how to conduct yourself in an interview, what should be your answer, what should not be your answer, and so on and so forth. But here I am very specific. Why I am very specific? Because I have seen results. So whatever I am going to tell you is completely based on a very researched thing. I have researched it, I have experienced it, I have seen students coming out victorious, I have seen students grabbing the opportunity, making the fullest of it. So the question is, tell me something about yourself. Now what to say? So I have divided the answer in 3 parts. You have to be very careful in building these 3 parts. And these 3 parts will be like 3 mental switches in your mind. First switch, second switch, and third switch. So if you devise this in your mind that in the first switch I am going to say only this much, then in the second switch I am going to say only this much, and in the third switch I am going to say only this much. If you practice this, what will happen is that you will be more confident. Your mind will not venture into nervousness, but it will go into calculation, and once your mind goes into calculation, you will calculate. And what are you going to calculate? The 3 switches. So let me give you the first switch. tell me something about yourself. The first part of the answer should be your name, your city from where you belong, your school, your father's name and his occupation, and your mother's name and her occupation, if there is any. And you have to be very specific about it. If your father is in bank, you have to be very specific that your father is an assistant manager, your father is a banker, your father is a clerk. You have to be very specific. If your father is in army, you have to be very sure that what post does he hold. If your father is in some government sector, you have to be very sure in which sector he is working, what is the post of your father. Similarly goes with your mother also. So the first part consists of your name, your city, the place of your birth, where you were born and brought up, your school's name, your father's name and his occupation, and your mother's name and her occupation. This is the first switch. So the first switch, my name is Palash Bhattacharya. I belong to Kanpur. I have studied in Don Bosco International School. My father, Mr. Tapan Kumar Bhattacharya, was a Reserve Bank employee. He was an assistant manager, and my mother, she was a teacher. First part end. Begin the second part. Now what is the second part? The second part consists of your internship, your project. If you have done any project, if you have done any internship, you have to mention. So the second part will start. I have done my internship from Microsoft, and in Microsoft I completed a 45-day training and internship in Microsoft in Gurgaon, where I learned how whatever I have learned in the theory, how it is applied, what are the various codes, how a professional employee should conduct him or herself, and so on and so forth. It was a very enriching experience for me. Second switch off, third switch on. The third switch is what kind of a person you are. Now here is the tricky part. You have to find out a particular keyword that suits you, and then you have to describe yourself. The third part begins with, I am a person who believes that hard work and honesty is the key to success. If you are honest in your work, if you are a hard worker, you will always learn new things. And once you learn new things, you will always have knowledge. And once you have knowledge, I believe that you would be able to take the right decisions at the right time. This is what honesty and hard work, both I have learned from my parents. They both are hardworking, they both are honest, and they both may have given me a life that is comfortable. They both have given me a platform from where I can build up my career, and I can support them as well. So there are three parts, and I have discussed all these three parts. The most important thing is the third part. In this third part, you have to tell your keyword. Your keyword may be, I am a person who believes that knowledge is very important, plays a key role. I am a person who believes that objectivity plays a very important role. I am a person who believes that planning is a very important thing. I am a person who believes that experience plays a very important role. Now if you see, experience, knowledge, learning, hardworking, honesty, they both are somewhere down the line interlinked. So if you can create an interlink, you can create a chain out of all these keywords, it is going to be very helpful for you. Especially in the case of freshers, hard work, especially learning, especially objectivity, especially knowledge, especially experience, they play a very vital role in a fresher's life. Because you are a fresher, the interviewer will not mind some or the other mistakes. But if your answer is structured and you can create a chain out of it, then he will definitely be impressed. Because the interviewer is always ready to give you another chance. So if your answer is structured, if you have planned your answer in this way, in this fashion, I'm sure you are going to get good results. Once again, before finishing, let me tell you the answer. I am not going to give you a model answer to it. It depends upon you, because at the end of the day you are sitting in front of the interviewer and you are giving the interview. I am not there. But I can of course tell you that there are three things. The first, your name, your city, your school, your father's name, occupation, your mother's name, occupation. The second thing, your internship, from wherever you have done your internship. And the third is what kind of a person you are. What do you believe in? If you believe in failures build up a life, then let's make an answer on that. I believe that failures are the keystones, are the fundamental stones of progress. Or if you believe that knowledge, gaining knowledge, in constant knowledge, constant upgradation is the key to success, then it is the answer for you. So choose a keyword, prepare your answer, and make a way for your career and make a way for yourself to be successful in that career. Thank you.